Let's take one more look at WebFOCUS in a very specific use case. Besides what I already showed you on asset management, call center, and other type of reporting capabilities, let's take a deeper dive into my little credit card analytics portal here. So we have a lot of customers using WebFOCUS for internal and external reporting, also providing information on certain financial transactions to their end users as well as to internal people to get value to people outside your organization and really sell the data that you're collecting as an organization as a valuable asset to your partners and customers. Actually, one of the important things for Focus was providing a very modern web interface that can be used to consume information, and you can easily white label the product completely. So being in WebFOCUS right now, being a user, they don't even know that it's a BI solution, that it's a product. It's labeled with my corporate logo, it's using my corporate colors. I got all the information that I need on that little screen. And in here, that one allows me to analyze my financial data, my credit card transactions. So I'm a credit card issuing company, and I want to look at the information that and the transactions that are created with my data. So looking into the data, I'm going to see, hey, how is the transaction distributed across the card types, MasterCard, Visa, how are they distributed across the different card programs that I use to issue my credit cards. So I can easily figure out, hey, I've got a high amount of transactions through those Visa cards here, and it looks like it's even a high number of transactions. But looking at that Visa card 6 type thing in here, we see, hey, that's a relatively low amount of or that's a relatively high amount of euros compared to the low amount of transactions, which also is visible in the amount or in the average amount of euros in those transactions. So that might be something to look into. Same if you look into the merchant code here, there's some outliers as well. So we have real estate agents that were paying. Okay, that's not too unusual. So there's not many people paying their real estate agent with their credit card. But if they do so, of course, it's a high volume. It's a high average amount of euros in those transactions. So not too surprising. Same here. We've got cruise, steamship and cruise. Not too many transactions, but high volume. Okay, that's okay. That's something I can understand. But interesting that people use the credit card to pay for those high volume or high amount type of transactions. Might be something to look into. Looking into my credit card users, it seems that I have a relatively high amount of people at a certain age. So I have not too many young customers spending money with my credit cards. But looking at the number of transactions, it seems that those younger people don't have too much volume, but compared to the volume, they have relatively many transactions. So they do a lot of micro or mini payments using their cards. Easy to see in here, that bar with the average amount seems to be way lower in that age group than in the older age group. So looks like the oldest people in my using credit cards are paying with a high volume or a high amount of money in here. So having that information in here to be able to analyze my data, I got more capabilities in here. So I'd take a look for some outlier analysis. So I see my age ranges. And what we saw before is something that's visible in here as well. So I've got some outliers. High amount, but not too many transactions on those card types. So we might want to focus on those elements in that corner and really focus on them to get some more details. And again, we already had that Visa card 6 before. So I think that proves what we saw before. And same in here, looking at the elements, it seems to be people at a certain age range. So it might be just a few customers. So it's something we might want to dig deeper into to get some more details and on those information. Again, I can do more analysis in here. I could also use my little card info app in here, which allows me to get some more flexibility on my data. So currently I'm filtering on all the information, and looking at my data, I might want to focus on some more details. So in here, I can see my data on a graphical representation on a map, but let's focus on that a little later. So actually, I might want to focus on certain states. I'm going to go for Bavaria. I'm going to go for Baden-Württemberg. Going to go for the south of Germany. And actually in here, I might want to focus at a certain age range as well, or I want to keep it as it is. So let's focus on that data. And let's go for the age range of my older customers in here that spend money with my credit card in here. So having that in here, we're going to have some more details on my data. Let's dive into the data a little bit. So I've got my map in here. So I focus on the 2 states of South and Southern Germany. So let's resize that one. Let's get us a little bit more space on the screen so we can work on. So actually we see that's the amount of money that is spent in those states. Looks like Bavaria has a higher amount compared to Baden-Württemberg. So might want to dive deeper in here. WebFOCUS has sophisticated capability of building multi-level maps on data in here. So actually, I like that visualization in here, but I might want to focus on a different element. Currently, I'm looking at the amount I'm spending. I might be relatively more interested in the average amount. And as I see, it turns. So it seems that in Baden-Württemberg, I have a way higher average, or I have a higher average amount than I have in Bavaria, even if I had a total amount of spend that was higher in that state. So maybe let's go a little deeper. So we've been on the state, so let's go on a level, not just on the state, but also on the transactions on the areas within the state. So we might want to scroll into or zoom into the information, and it looks we've got a few cities that have a relatively higher spending compared to other states in here. So especially, yeah, it looks like Rosenheim has a lot of transaction. Even Rosenheim is a relatively small city compared to Munich or Nuremberg. So we might want to dive deeper into that data to get some more information on that elements. Having data on a map is nice on one way, but you also want to use data in an export format. So let's get to a more detailed list of information. And I have all my data, the one I filtered on, visible in here right now. So I've got all the data, what I'm spending for, and I can use that capability in here to work with the data. We're using we're using the great capability of active reports in here to get an interactive document format. So I can easily now use that data here to filter. So go for the highest average amount in euros. So see that Visa card type is spent in a certain month for travel agents and tour operations by an older person in Bavaria in that specific city. But again, hard to read in here. We can filter, of course, so we might want to focus on the travel agents only, just look at the travel agency, because that seems to be a relatively interesting element. So let's go for the travel agencies and just focus on those transactions in here. And it's still gonna hard to read, so we might want to continue here to actually build some visualization. Very often people just export data now and put them into Excel, start to build something on top of Excel. Something I could do now to put it and get it into Excel, but actually I don't want to get it into Excel, so I want to continue with the data on a certain, in a different way. So yeah, of course, export it, and I got my Excel. Fine to work with. Actually don't like it too much, so okay, let's get rid of that one. So easy ways to work. So I got my filter in here, I continue to work with. I can also create additional reports on top of the data. So let me get it back to the main screen. So actually in here, I could also now start to remove elements, or that element from the page, resize elements from the page, really work with whatever I want to work with to get a sophisticated output. Using that report is not just for filtering and exporting. I could also continue to work with the data. So in case I don't want the export, I want to create a visualization to quickly graphically analyze my data. We can select the new capability, add a chart, select a chart type, whatever I like, and In here, we filtered on certain elements. So let's get the age group onto the color of the chart and add the number of transaction as a measure and add the amount of transactions in euro to the color as well. So we can see we filtered on 21 transaction with a volume of close to 50,000 euros in a total value. So even might be interesting to go to the average amount of spending for those elements and really focus on what we have in here. Let's get rid of it. And I can continue to work with those information and also export the chart to work with the chart. Easy way to work with data and visualization in my data. There's more capabilities in my portal to filter on, so there's more analysis that shows me data in a certain specific way, so easy way to filter, figure out what states are the highest spent in, easy to filter, easy to navigate through the elements, and easy to work with. I can go to my detail page in here to get some more details. Straightforward information, straightforward analysis of data. I also have some information here in my portal on my call center. I have I have a separate video just focusing on that call center reporting application, that call center reporting content in here. If you like to know more, just take a look at that video. And as people like to get tabular data in many situations, I want to get my users the flexibility to analyze the data in a way they want them, and being able to export whatever they have in the format they want to have it. So easy way to work with the data. So there's my report. It's a basic report. I filtered on certain elements. So I might want to see a certain time frame. I might want to see a certain card program. So let's focus on my favorite MasterCard 6 that we saw already in the past. So let's filter on that. So we got all the transactions on those MasterCard 6s. So, but I don't want only the merchants in here. I also want to see the age group. I also want to see the state. I want to get all the measures in my report. So I can update that information to get to a more specific list of information on my screen. So yeah, actually that's not what I want. I would prefer to have the age group and the state as the first sort fields in my report. So let's move the state on top. So make that one my first sort field, make the age group my second one, and keep the merchant code as the third one, and submit the information. So we're going to see at which states people spend which money, or move it around, have age group the first analysis criteria in that report. So we're going to see based on the age group where they spend money in here. Let's get rid of the state again. Let's analyze my data. So easy to work with, easy to navigate, easy to work. I can also use additional filters in here. So I just use some basic filters. So I could filter on the amount. I could filter on the merchant code here. I could also filter again on the age range. So again, we were looking to focus on my older customers. So let's focus on the older ones, update my data accordingly. And actually, that's what I like. That's what I want to keep for the next meeting. So I want to get that one into an output format. So I can now export that one into an Excel document. And it's going to create me an Excel document on the fly that I'm going to be able to use for my next meetings. Easy to consume, easy to work with. Besides the standard and the standard capability of having somehow flexible and static reporting, people also might need and want more capability to get to more detailed information. So actually, I'm not a developer, I'm not a programmer, I'm not a report designer. I just want to get some information. So I could also use the natural language query capabilities in WebFOCUS to simply ask questions. So actually, I'm interested in the total transactions, and it's already suggesting me the fields here. I can pick them or just type ahead, and I want them by age group. So again, I can continue to type or just select something in here. And I want to see in Bayern, the state of Bayern. So I'm going to search for that one. And now I'm going to ask WebFOCUS for the answer to that question. Let me resize that screen a little bit. And we see in total, we got that information in my data. So let's get some more information on that report. So I want to see the average spend. I want to see the average spend by card type in the city of Stuttgart. So just typing that question, selecting the information, and I'm getting the average spend by card type in Stuttgart. So actually I had a typo in here, so it's the average spend. So let's go to the average spend. This makes a little bit more sense. So now we got the average spend per transaction, and we see there's a slight difference in spending. So it seems that we're spending more money in average with Visa card in Stuttgart. So let maybe focus to another city. Let's go to Frankfurt Main. Let's take a look how it looks in that city. So ask WebFOCUS for that question, for that answer. I'm going to see, hey, it's actually it's the way it's here, it's the other way around. So it's more money spent on MasterCard than on Visa card in Frankfurt. Okay, might be interesting to take a deeper look. Again, WebFOCUS is a pure and true enterprise reporting platform. So besides that dashboarding and NLQ capability, we also have capability to work with documents in here. So looking at that data, WebFOCUS can be used to provide complex documents on certain aspects. If you want to see more about documents and the capability to create documents, take a short look into my asset management demo, because you're going to see a little bit more on the capability of working with interactive e-statements. So this is a document format at the end that allows me to send information via schedule to users outside my organization, to distribute information to a wider audience of people, just inserting an email address or a distribution list and just pushing information to the masses. That's still going to be interactive. So that format in here will work and stay interactive even if I send it out via email. We already saw some of the interactive capabilities before, like sorting on data or going to the detailed information list in here and starting to build your own complex and new charts. For example, in here to compare my 5-year performance with the 10-year performance by fund category. So that's an easy way to do. So in here, we can change the elements. So change the elements to be side by side, change the aggregation to be an average, change it to be an average. So very complex capabilities to build your own charts on top of your data without having the need to work with complex reporting capabilities, available online and offline whenever you want, wherever you want to. But WebFOCUS also provides you with capabilities to build your complex documents. Again, if you want to learn and see a little bit more about complex documents, that document is created on the fly, but take a look at my asset management demo, where I'm going to go deeper into the capability of building things like those complex PDF documents that can be then distributed across the masses. With the latest versions of WebFOCUS, I could also use creation of documents on an online mode. So I also have the capability to create my own documents in WebFOCUS directly on the portal without having the need to learn anything, to have any tool. And I think that's something Dirk is going to take a look at in a second. So you're going to see it in the second part of the presentation. So now after we completed the role of a more consumer type of person, in the next session, we're going to dive deeper into how to build content, how to create new content in WebFOCUS using the new and modern web interfaces provided with WebFOCUS in the latest releases. Okay, if you like the video, take a look at the next one and enjoy.